Good afternoon. I'm Sam Oakley with Informa Tech, and I'm very pleased to say that joining me today is Chen Haiyong, President of CS and IMS domain from Huawei Cloud Core Network product line. Welcome.
Thanks.
And
Hi, everybody. My name is Haiyong Chen from Huawei Cloud Core product line.
Yeah. And welcome to 5G Core Summit 2023. I have a few questions for you. First one, as a key network function of 5G core network, what are the benefits of signaling functions?
Well, good questions. So from my point of view, regarding about signaling, I think we need to consider about the two aspects. One is about the simplified configuration of the network. So which means that using the signaling solution, we can hide the topology of the network. So looking back for the signaling industry, so regarding about the 2G, 3G era, so when the SS7 signaling is used, right? So the signaling point, we call it STP. So it is the convergent point of the SS7 signaling. And coming to the 4G area, we have the DRA and the DEA. So it can also make the network topology simple. So, but I think for the 5G, regarding about the 5G, things is different. Because even in the 2G, 3G, or 4G, there are concept of network element. So the number of the network element is around, say, 10 or almost at that level. But things changes in 5G. In the 5G, we do not have the concept of network element. So we only have the concept of network functionality. So the number of network functionality is around 60. So the network is very complex. So with the deployment of SCP, so we can reduce the configuration of the number of the link can be reduced to about 80%. So it is very useful. So this is from the configuration point of view to hide the network topology. And another thing regarding about the 5G is about the security. Because as I just said, previously we have the concept of network element. So the number of network element is around 10. So the possibility for each network element breaks down is quite low, right? But if you can imagine that if we have 60 network functionalities, then the possibility for the network functionalities to be blacked down, it will high, right? So we think that from this point of view, in 5G era, so the signaling storming is inevitable. So we need to find some solutions to resolve it. When the signaling storm occurs, we need some solutions. And I think the SCP, the signaling solution, is the right solution because you can consider the SCP, the position of the SCP. So for this SCP, he can know all the network signals from different network functionalities, right? And it can, he can know which messages takes priority. So which messages priority is low, which messages priority is high. And when, signaling occurs, he can do something. So in Huawei, we have a so-called 3-layer signaling storm processing solution. So before the signaling storm, we can doing some predict. So we will predict, for example, we can monitor whether there's some abnormal things happening in this network. And during the signaling storm, so we will doing the signaling suppressing to avoid some point. For example, we find that, okay, there comes to some bottleneck of the network element, the network functionality. So we will reduce the signaling sent to this network functionality. So through this way, we can suppress the signaling. And after the signaling storm, during the recovery of the signaling storm, and we will, doing some follow controls globally. So it will greatly increase the efficiency of the signaling storm time. So we think, from my point of view, in the 2G and the 3G area, so the signaling solution is mandatory. In the 4G area, maybe for some small networks, it is optional. But for the 5G area, since the network functionality, the number of network functionality is so high, so it becomes mandatory. Yeah, thanks.
Great. My second question is around the product that Huawei recently launched, your IWF roaming solution. What makes the IWF roaming solution different from the S8 HR roaming solution, which is widely used by operators? And what is the unique value the IWF solution can bring to operators?
Okay, thanks. Also a very good question. So from the standard point of view, so the S8 home routed solution is defined in the 3GPP standard. But for me, that maybe for some scenarios, he does not consider about. So regarding about the roaming scenario, in fact, so nowadays we are mainly facing three key challenges. The first one is about, of course, when you use the S8 HR solution, you need to re-sign some agreement between each other, right? So it is very complex. You can imagine that you have in the 2G and the 3G area, you have signed some such kind of agreement with others, and when the IMS comes, when the 4G, 5G comes, you need to re-sign that. It's very complex, right? And the second challenge is that, in some advanced operators, the 2G and the 3G will be sunset recently. But, for some developing countries, maybe the CS network will exist for a long time. Then what will happen? You can imagine if, for example, some users, they only have the 2G and the 3G network. When they're roaming into a network which do not have the 2G and the 3G, they cannot make the phone call, right? So this is the second change. And the last change is about the charging. So originally, for the roaming scenarios, we will charge based on the time. But if you use the S8 home routed solutions, you cannot charge this based on the time, because all the voice traffic and the data traffic, they are combined together, and there are through the S8 interface, you cannot identify which one is data, which one is voice. So it will impact the charging mode. So based on all these three challenges, and we have the so-called single voice core solution. So based on the single voice core solution technology, so we find a solution named IWF. So with the IWF, so it looks like that for the home network, it looks like that the previous previous site, it looks like just a normal CS network, and we will do the adaptation, between the CS and IMS. So which means that some CS users come to the network, and it will use the IMS, of course, to make the call, because there's no CS network any longer in their visit network. But for their home network, we will make adaptations from the IMS to the CS. So you can still reuse previously agreement. And the second thing is, of course, you can still use based on the the existing charging systems, maybe the law for interception, whatever. So you can reuse all these such kind of systems, and which will greatly improve the efficiency of the 2G, 3G sunset. So we think that it is mandatory. And also we have, when we discuss with some operators, so nowadays around more than a dozen operators, they want such kind of solution. And also we have discussed, we will discuss with the industry, and maybe I suggest in the 3GPP standard, we also need to consider such kind of scenarios. Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Thanks.
And my final question's about the single voice core solution, which Huawei recently released and has had a significant impact on the industry. I'm really keen to understand about what is that impact on the industry, and what's the next evolution of this product look like for Huawei and the market?
Well, when we consider about the single voice core solution, so we based on, in fact, two facts. One is, no one wants to continuously to invest on the CS network, but we still have so many CS users, right? Then, after the And after the end of life time of the equipment, how can we deal with such kind of users, right? So for all the vendors, usually until the year 2000 and until the year 2026 or 2027, all the CS equipment will end of life, right? So we need to find some solutions to deal with that. And another aspect is that everyone knows the IMS, it is mandatory for the future, for the 5G, right? So how we can, from the investment point of view, how we can resolve the issues of today to manage the CS network, and facing to the future to manage for the IMS network. So we built the single voice core solution, which means that within one system, we can support both the CS part and the IMS part. And of course, because this is a single system, so for example, from the management point of view, you need only one management team, maybe one charging system, everything should be unical. So which will greatly protect the investment of the operators. And this is the first thing. And second thing, we think that, regarding about the future, right? So the single voice core, of course, first we need to make sure that the network is stable, because the stability of the core network should always take priority, right? And of course, to increase the user experience, because nowadays, whatever you use SRVCC or CS4 back, there will be some signaling interconnection between the CS system and the IMS system, or the PS system, whatever, right? So with our unified solutions, a lot of messages become internal. So it can greatly reduce the delay of the message. So it will increase the user experience. For example, nowadays in some operators in China, so we have reduced the core establishing time by around 20 to 30%. This is very, greatly improve the user experience. So this is the second way. And the third way is regarding for the future. So the SVC, we think that this is a fundamental, systems for the voice core. And based on the single voice core solution, we introduced the data channel. So which is defined in the release 16. And release 18, 19, we will continually introduce such kind of mechanisms. So which means that based on the single voice core, we will define the future solution of the voice. So the new calling is an example. Yeah.
Very good. Thank you.
Thanks.
And thank you for joining us today. And we
Thanks.
look forward to welcoming you again to the 5G Core Summit in 2024.